And you are now live.
Thank you, Aisha. Aisha always says that you are now live and then leaves us to it. So that's brilliant. Welcome everyone to tonight's FBS chat. Our guests are Elliott Connie and Adam Froerer both from Texas. Have I got that right?
No. I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow. Right. So Georgia and Texas. And then we have Steve and Kij, who are my co-hosts, who will hopefully ask some really thoughtful questions, because sometimes I run out, and that's just me being honest. So I've spoken to everyone apart from you, Adam, in terms of how you came across solution-focused brief therapy, what difference it made. So maybe if I can start with you and how you came across this approach, and then later on look at how it developed from there.
Sure. It's not a very exciting story. When I was doing my undergraduate degree, I was getting an undergraduate degree in psychology. And as part of that degree, then I worked for we call it here a state hospital. So it was an inpatient hospital. And I worked for kids between the ages of 6 and 10. And we worked with them and tried to help them to kind of get better and to manage their symptoms and those kinds of things. And one of the things that happened as part of that program is that they would work kind of throughout the week to earn some points. It was a very CBT approach. And if they earned enough points, then on the weekend, they could go home and spend some time with their families. And one of the things that I learned is that we would work all week and they would get better and better and better, and they would earn lots of points. And then they would go home. And then on Monday morning, they would come back. And it was like we were starting all over again. And I realized at that point that if I wanted to help kids, I probably needed to also work with their families, their parents, change in some sense their systems. And so at that point, I went to get a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. And it was there in that program that I got introduced to solution-focused brief therapy. It was a very intellectual process. It was learning the theory, reading out of a textbook, those kinds of things. But it was kind of just a natural fit. And so then I went to get a doctoral degree, also in marriage and family therapy. And it was there that I started to do research. So Dr. Sarah Smock, now Sarah Smock Jordan, she was one of my faculty members. She and I worked together, and that's where we started working with Janet Bavelis and started doing microanalysis. So it was really my love of language that then led to kind of pulling apart solution-focused sessions to see. That's where I really started to want to know, how does this work? I figured there was lots of research that said it does work, so I wanted to know, how does it work? So I came to solution-focused brief therapy really at a micro level, trying to figure out what makes this different than something else.
So you knew it worked, but you wanted to know how it worked.
Yeah.
Why wasn't you just satisfied with that you knew it worked?
Because that's a good question. Because I think we know lots of things work, right? I know that we knew that there was lots of research that said CBT worked, and I watched CBT work with those kids to a certain extent. And so I wanted to understand how things worked in order to ensure that we were giving people the best services that we could give. So I think when we can understand the how, we can do our jobs better.
Yeah, brilliant. And at some point, when the kids earned their points to spend time with their families and came back, something told you that there needs to be a family intervention here. What was that realization that maybe what I'm doing could be bettered?
I think I watched them really thrive in a controlled environment, right? Everything was regulated for them. Everything was very structured and orderly. And they would go home to a system that was unfamiliar with what interventions had been happening, what we were trying to do. And I think oftentimes, and again, this is part of my love of language, I think children don't always have the verbal language to express, this is what I'm learning, or this is how I'm changing, and so they very quickly kind of fell back into the rules of the system that they were involved in. And I realized that if we really wanted to help these kids, we probably needed to help the rules of their system also change to be something that was helpful or useful.
Brilliant. You're on mute, Aish.
Joe, can you please put your mic on?
My mic is on. You muted me.
Your
My
mic!
mic is muted.
Put this on.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry, guys. Next question. I'm just going to get my earphones.
I'll get it. I'm younger. I'll run. I'll get it. Go on. Take over, Stephen Kidge. Go on.
I'll ask the question. Although I should say that I saw you talk to Linda Metcalf last week, Elliott, and you said we're just going to riff, Adam and I. So don't bring a question. So I thought, okay. But I have brought some questions.
All we need is like one question and we'll be going.
So I guess still with Adam for a minute, that moment when you met Elliott, because this is about you and Elliott. So I'm interested in that moment. And was it then that you realized you were going to have this special relationship with this special man, or did that come later? Tell me a bit about that.
Well, as you can see, Elliott and I have nothing in common whatsoever. Our backgrounds are totally different. Our interests are vastly different. He makes me listen to horrible music that for a long time
It's not horrible. It's great rap music.
For a long time, I refused to call it music because it was rap music. And I was like, they just talk. They don't even sing. And so on the surface, we have nothing in common. Where we met, we actually met for the first time in 2008 at a conference in Austin, Texas. It was the Solution Focused Grief Therapy Association conference. We met for about 2 minutes. We got introduced to each other, and I think that we both kind of did that thing of like, oh, it's nice to meet you. And then we walked away thinking, I'm never going to see that guy again. And so then in 2010, 2 years later, we both went to the EBTA conference in Malmo, Sweden. And we we had one mutual friend in common who was also at the conference. So we kind of got reintroduced by that mutual friend. We each went to different workshops. We came out of the workshops and we were looking for our mutual friend, and she disappeared, and she was gone for about 24 hours. We don't know what happened to her.
We have some hypothesis about it, though.
We have a hypothesis, but she will not confirm our hypothesis. So in that 24 hours of our friend being gone, then we just kind of gravitated to each other because that was the only other person we knew. As part of that time, we went on a walk around downtown Malmo, and we just started talking about solution-focused therapy, because apparently that's what nerds do. And
which is the one thing we have in common. We're both nerds.
It's the only thing still to this day that we have in common.
Well, we have more in common now. Like, I love Toby.
Toby's my 13-year-old son. We both love him.
So we have more in common now.
I have 2 other children that I think we both love too.
I love them both. Yep, but Toby's like my best friend on the planet.
Yep. So during that 24-hour period, we went on a walk around Malmö, Sweden, and we started kind of pulling solution-focused brief therapy apart. At that time, there were lots of phrases like the client, we lead from one step behind, or we lead by tapping our clients on the shoulder. And we both kind of said, I don't really understand what that means. I don't really like that. Like, what does that even like? So we were just kind of pulling apart these phrases and saying, what does that actually mean? And so as part of that conversation, we developed a research study, which Elliott hated research. So I don't even know how he let me talk him into it. But we developed a research study, which is the Delphi study. And a Delphi study basically is you interview experts of the field. So the first thing that we did is we interviewed 44 experts, solution-focused experts from across the world. And we said, we were looking at the term solution building. What is solution building? And we went from there. So I would say that was kind of the foundation of our work, is kind of pulling it apart and really trying to get at the nuances of it. And I think at the end of that conversation, at the end of that walk, Elliott said to me, I think we just planned like 30 years of work. And we're now 11 years into it. And I think we have way more than 30 years worth of work left to do.
What was your hypothesis on why this person suddenly disappeared?
You're the only person who has ever asked that.
That's true.
I'm gonna go just so far, and then that's the end. The hypothesis that we have has something to do with the Swedish national football team was staying at the same hotel we were staying at. And when they checked out of the hotel, she reappeared.
That is, you went way further than I thought you would have. But
That's all I can say is those two things corresponded with each other.
Wow. What was your hypothesis, Elliott? Was it the same?
Same. And it probably resonated with me, to be honest, because I noticed, hey, they're gone and she's back.
I thought you were going to say because she thought, Elliott and Adam, they work really well together. If I just disappear, they might connect. But no, it was the.
I don't think it had anything to do with us.
I like that.
No, I don't think it had anything to do with us.
Have you spoken to her since and relayed what you thought was going on at that point?
We have had a conversation since years later, and we said, where did you go during that time? And she went, oh, and then she didn't say anything else.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And
if anyone knows who this person is, please find out what the truth is.
I can just imagine someone thinking, who will ever find out? Who will know? I can skip off.
Now, I am not making any accusations about what actually happened. I have no idea.
But she hasn't confirmed or denied.
No, there's been no confirmation or denying.
I like that. Steve, do you want to jump in?
That is true.
Yeah, I mean, following that with a question. But listening to what you were saying about your introduction to solution-focused, Adam, the question I've got in my mind, burning in my mind, if you like, is that within the solution-focused community, it's fairly rare for people to engage in that type of process research or outcome research, diagnostic linked research. We tend to have a more sort of fluid and relaxed attitude towards outcome research. Why do you think, would you agree with that? And if so, why do you think that is?
Yeah, I do think that the solution-focused community does have a more relaxed approach to research. Why that is, I think I do have some speculations, I guess. I mean, I think it began with Steve DeShazers. He used to say all the time, there isn't a theory to solution-focused brief therapy. It's even in some sense anti-theory. And I think that creates an environment where if you don't have theory or philosophical underpinnings to measure or test, then it's very difficult to test them. And so I think from that very beginning, he set up an expectation of this is something that isn't measurable. And when people would ask, how do you know that it works? The common answer was, we don't know how it works. And so I think that attitude spread throughout the community in some sense of, we don't know how this works. We don't know why this works. We just know that it does work. And I think that has kind of permeated a bit.
Mm-hmm. Was it difficult to take that step, to go beyond that and say, no, I want to know how it works?
I mean, it was hard. I don't think I knew. I was pretty young at the time, and I didn't really know what the community was like. I was new to the community, so I didn't know that I was kind of pushing against a difference in the community. But I also would say it wasn't hard because I didn't really have a choice. I had to do a doctoral dissertation to get out. And so it was also a piece of necessity. Like I had to do it in order to get out. But since then I've done a lot more research. So I think it did set up so on the one hand, yes, it was very difficult. And on the other hand, no, it was just what I had to do.
What do you think, Elliott?
Thanks.
I think that he is kind of underselling himself a bit.
I just have to cut in 1 second. He's going to say a whole bunch of nice things that you're going to need to take with a grain of salt.
I think Adam is one of the most brilliant minds in this field. And when we went on that walk in Malmo, Sweden, one of the things that Adam would say is exactly kind of, Steve, what you're getting at is how the research in our field needs to improve. And I mean, he was right. We talked about those phrases, like, what does it mean to tap a client on the shoulder? And what do you mean one step behind? But one of the things that would drive Adam crazy is we were at a conference, and that conference had like every, big name in solution focused therapy at the time. And they were describing it as not having a theory. And Adam was like, what do you mean? You have a theory of everything. Like, there is no such thing as no theory. Everything has a theory. Not just psychotherapy, but you have a theory of like raising children. You have a theory on what you should eat for breakfast. There's a theory on how much water you. There's no such thing as no theory. And he had to climb many mountains and break many barriers to get to where he is today, which is one of the most well-respected researchers in our entire field, not just solution focused, but in the helping professions itself, because a lot of people would. Adam is really annoying, right? So when he
take that with a grain of salt.
He starts asking questions, he becomes like a little gnat that won't go away until he gets his question answered. So a lot of people in the field were basically like, why are you asking that question? Like, why isn't it good enough, Adam, that we just say that it works? Adam really wanted to know how. He really, really desperately wanted to know, but how? Because in his mind, you can't really teach it well unless we can describe the how it works. So when he says, I mean, I watched him have to climb many hurdles to get validity, if you will. And it didn't help that he decided to start working with this loud black guy, and the field didn't love that either. So Adam He's underselling himself. When he picks a path, and if he thinks it is the right and just path, he is undeterrable from getting to where he is trying to go.
So how did he persuade you to follow him into that uncharted territory, Elliott?
You know, it happened accidentally, right? So here's, Adam didn't give you all the details. So when we left Malmo, we both really enjoyed that we were roughly the same age and we had similar ideas about solution focus. So we decided, let's meet every week. He was living in Chicago at the time and I was living in Texas. And we decided we're going to have a meeting and this was before Zoom and all that stuff. So we would meet on the phone every week for an hour and just talk about solution focus, just like super nerd out. We weren't talking about research or we weren't talking about any of that stuff. We were just like, so here's what I'm thinking. And Adam would ask me, at the time I had a really large therapy practice. So he would ask me about the clients I was working on, and it just kind of developed. And we did that for about a year. And then there was another conference and Adam asked me if I wanted to present with him. This is when I learned Adam is such an annoying ass. Like he just won't let go. So there was a workshop. No, not great assault. It is true. There was a workshop at a conference and Adam says, do you want to present together at this conference? Now, over that year, we had really gotten to know each other. But Adam, I don't think we saw each other really in that year. I think it was all basically phone. So Adam says to me, a really good presentation would be, I review one of your videos and we pull the language out of the videos and then you talk about why you said what you said and why you didn't say what you didn't say. And I was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. So he says, do you have a video that I could watch in preparation for this workshop? So I did. I had a video that I could watch and I mailed it to him. This is even before you could like digitally share things in an encrypted way. So I mailed it to Adam. He watched the video. And then in our next meeting, he says to me, so I've watched the video and I've got some questions. And I was like, all right, what's up? And he said, in the first 19 minutes, you asked the question, would you be pleased by that 26 times? He said, why do you ask that? Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't know. And he said, but why? And I said, but Adam, I don't know.
I think I actually said, you have to know why.
And I don't know why. And he just pestered me and he pestered me. And by the end of the phone call, I said, I'll tell you what, I've got a whole bunch of clients this week. I'm going to pay attention when I ask that question and why, and I'll let you know. So the next meeting, I call him and we're chatting. And I said, I think I know. And I started explaining to him what's going on in my head. And I expected him to be like, oh, that's great. Thank you for answering that question. But what he said really was, oh, that's great. Thank you for answering my question. And now I've got more questions. And that's how he works. That's what he does.
Mm.
Mm.
And Adam, do you have a phrase that you tend to ask a lot? I'm really interested in, because you talk about these differences. I think there's a lot that, you have that, you have clearly a really great friendship and things probably that have grown over time. But do you have different takes, or I suppose it's a bigger question maybe than just phrases on how you see SF, or does that again change over time, that what you see as most important? Or
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does change over time. I think I think it's really important too that I also return what Elliott said, right? Elliott is one of the most generous people around, right? Mm-hmm. And at that time, when I said, will you let me watch your work? I asked lots of people if they would let me watch their work. And very few people take you up on, can I watch your work? It's a scary thing to be like, sure, you can watch my work. And Elliott sent me tape after tape after tape. And so it wasn't just like, a one-time thing, but I would say everything that to really answer your question, I think, yes, it changes over time. And I think the reason that it changes over time is because our conversations change over time. At that time, we were really talking about this question of like, would that please you, or would that make you happy? And that did incorporate into our work, where we would then start talking about how every single piece of the conversation needed to be co-constructed. And one way to understand, again, kind of this principle of grounding, one way to figure out that you and the client are on the same page is to literally check with them and to say, would that be okay with you? And so that did lead into this idea of thinking about grounding and thinking about co-construction and how that happens. But I would say over time, other things caught our attention. That each session that we watched, new questions came up. And right now, many of you might have heard, we kind of just looked at lots of different sessions from lots of different people and kind of organized it into a diamond and said, this is what we think is currently happening across, sessions. But I would say that's where we are right this moment, right? To give you a little bit of foreshadowing, we're having a current debate. I think I'm winning. If we should take scales off of the diamond, because scales they're not equivalent to the other three things. This is my argument. And you can achieve what you can achieve with a scale in many different ways. So for a long time, we've been arguing about should the scales stay on or should the scales go. When you see them come off, you'll know I won. So I think, there are things that catch our attention, but I think that it all leads to one kind of continuous development.
Yeah.
And just to give you guys an idea, when I tell you we are nerds, like we are super nerds. The type of conversations we would have is I can remember telling Adam, like I work with a ton of couples, Adam, and I'm really struggling with something. And that is so solution-focused brief therapy is all about a desired outcome. And we are trained to ask clients, what are your best hopes from our therapy? So when you have a couple in the room, do you have two desired outcomes that function independently of one another? Or do you have one desired outcome that has to represent both people? And Adam said, I don't know. That's a good question. So we looked in research and books, and no one had answered that question. And for us, this goes to Adam's point. How can we teach people how to do it if we're not teaching them like these really nuanced things? Mm-hmm. So Adam said, go do it, and we're going to test it. Like, try to do independent outcomes in certain couples and try to do one outcome that represents both people's wishes in another, and then let's see. And we learned very quickly when you work with couples, it's one desired outcome that represents both people's wishes. But that came out of those conversations. And I would say over these 11 years, we have moved significantly in our thoughts and in a way we explain what we do, and the way we explain what works in this approach, and the way we explain why we do. Like, it just because we have conversations like that constantly, like absolutely constantly.
And I think one of the things that's really important to reiterate is that Elliott really did. I would just ask questions. Elliott is the clinician. I'm the researcher. And so Elliott was the one who put up with, like, when you get two desired outcomes, what oftentimes ends up happening is that the couple start arguing with each other. Right. Mm-hmm. So he's the one on the front line trying to now put the session back together. And then he would come back and he'd be like, I don't want to do that again. Like, and so I would just sit in the background and be like, okay, now go do this. And then he would have to deal with the ramifications of that. And so I think he tries to put it on like, I had these brilliant ideas, but really, I mean, we only know what we know because he went and did it.
Mm. So in terms of looking at how it works and the theory, because I guess the difficulty must be is that one of the biggest premises behind this approach is that the client knows what's best, and every client is obviously an individual. So we have this baseline of these are the kind of I don't know, questions, whatever I need to ask. But I guess that must be difficult to put down in a teachable theory if every client always surprises you with their answers.
Yes and no.
Yeah, I would say yes and no too.
I think it is. I think you're right on the one hand. Like, it is really hard because you don't know what the next answer is. And there's no way that I can formulate my next question until I hear what you say. And so there is embedded in that a huge amount of trust, right? Like, I just have to trust that you're going to say something, and then I have to trust my ability in order to turn that into a question. And I would say where I would say it's not so hard, and this is where I, again, take a little bit of umbrage with one of the things that regularly gets said in the solution-focused world, is that oftentimes it's said the client is the expert. And I would say the client is an expert. But I think we are also experts. We have to be experts at this process. We have to understand, how do you get a really good, defined, desired outcome? When do you know it's time to move on? How do you know, using the diamond as an example, how do you know if you should be asking questions about the preferred future or about the history of the outcome? We have to be experts at our craft. And when we're experts of our craft, what that allows is flexibility. Because now I'm able to maneuver, right? It's the same, using your example. If I'm going to play what we would call here soccer, what you all call football, right?
It's Adam, it's football, mate. Don't get it confused.
We'll go
You guys call it what you want.
for sake of argument, we'll go with football today. But it's the same craft, right? Those football players, they practice technique, they practice skills, they run drills. In the moment, what we know about neuroscience is all of that practice, in essence, goes out the window. They no longer are thinking minute skills. They're now built on muscle memory. They're taking things in an instant, assessing the situation, and all of a sudden you think they're going to go left and they go right. And all of that, we should be that good at our craft that in the moment we can be flexible enough to say, I need to go somewhere totally different than where I thought I was going to go. But the client is the expert, and they bring what they bring, and we have to be able to maneuver with it.
And the one thing I would add is Adam said the key part. So the first part is Adam talked about trust. And I think the way that we're trained in this field is we trust our assessment skills. So, for example, I'm going to do therapy with Joe. I first have to figure out what kind of client Joe is. And then once I figure out what kind of client Joe is, I now have confidence that I can develop an intervention to help Joe. That's how we're trained in this field. So I now know Joe is a depressed client or an addictive client or a such and such client. And once I know what kind of client Joe is, I then go look in my toolbox for the tool that helps that kind of client. Now, to do solution focus, you need to have the same level of trust, but instead of in your assessment skills, in your connective skills. Because what I have to trust is if I can connect with Joe the person, I will know how to ask Joe questions that will make a difference to Joe. So when people say, like, Elliott, how could you possibly think solution-focused brief therapy is like a one-stop shop therapy, it works with all clients? In a way, I don't think it's a one-stop shop that works with all clients. What I think it is, it's you guys change your approach based upon the kind of client. And I change my language based upon each and every single client that I talk with. And so I think we have to understand that trust is there in the same way that it is with a problem-focused approach. It's just there at a different place, because I trust once I connect with my client, or once I allow my client to connect with me, I'm going to be a better helper of them. And by the way, connection happens in an instant. Like, it happens through a smile, a gesture, a kind word. Like, people are like, oh, it takes 3. I spent the first 3 sessions building rapport. I'm like, you just wasted 3 hours of that person's time. You just wasted that person's money, and you took for granted that they would come back 3 times, right? Because therapy is a hard thing to do. A lot of people have to arrange childcare and transportation and all kinds of stuff. Like, you cannot assume that you're going to see somebody 3 times. You have to use the skills available to us. And the other thing I will say that Adam said, I'm just going to put an exclamation point on it, is I think therapy is a skill similar to football. Like, I watched a video of Messi scoring a goal. Now, to all of you people watching, Joe, you included, Steve, I don't know if you're a football fan or not, but if you don't like Messi, I'm sorry to bring him up. but I watched Messi score a goal that completely blew me away. And I'm a very athletic person. I have very high levels of hand-eye coordination, but I can't do what he did with his feet. He dribbled through what seemed to me an entire team of people, and he never once looked up at the goalie. Never. He was really kind of measuring the whole field, dribbling through what seemed to me the entire other team. Then he kicked the ball with his left foot, and it curved. The goalie dove for it. The goalie missed it by the smallest of amounts, and he scored the goal. And I watched that replay probably 100 times. Messi never once looked at the goalie, but somehow knew how to kick it around him. So the question is, how many times do you think he has practiced that shot to be able to do it without looking? And the answer is 10 kabillion. Like, the answer is, like, he's done it more times than anyone has done anything ever. That's why he's the best in the world at this, because he's kicked it at the goalie so many times, I don't even know where the goalie is. I can just kind of feel it. That was that flexibility that Adam was talking about. And one of the things about, like, I saw about 40 clients a week, every single week for about a decade. So my skill to be flexible within language increased. And not only did I see 40 clients a week for about a decade, every single week I was talking to maybe the most brilliant mind I've ever known about the 40 clients a week that I saw. So I could literally feel like the edge of the knife getting sharper. And I could feel my skill level getting sharper. And I was aware. I used to be like, please don't let this be a hard client. Please don't. But I got to a point where I was like, I don't care who they are, because I know that I will be able to figure it out as the conversation is unfolding. And I think we have to start teaching therapy as a skill you must master, and as opposed to like techniques you have to put in a toolbox, because I don't think that works.
Yeah.
Wow, well, I'm blown away. Totally.
Yeah.
Go on, kids.
Strikes me as appropriate comments for May the 4th, as in May the 4th be with you.
Ditto.
My Star Wars heart.
I was going to continue having seen Messi often actually in real life play. I'm going to continue with the Messi analogy. So, Adam, I'm interested with this kind of Elliott being like a Messi. Let's face it.
Oh no.
We lost Kit.
Oh,
But it's that,
It's because she was
Elliot
going
is
to
this
compliment him.
messy in the session, and so skilled in asking the.
Figures.
Sorry, it's. I think I'm breaking up.
Kids, you're breaking up.
This kid's breaking up.
Ooh. we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I
don't want to make anyone slightly nervous, but I've just received an email from Eve Lipchick to say she's enjoying watching you guys.
Oh, I
we love
Not nervous at all. There's two things I want everybody to know about Eve Lipchick. Number one, she is delightful. Adam and I have had the pleasure of interviewing her twice. She is amazing. And it's the only person ever when we talked to them, Adam got off and he said, I think she's my favorite solution-focused theorist ever. The second thing that is amazing about Eve Lipchick is she makes wonderful choices in husbands, because Eve Lipchick's husband's name is Elliott.
Oh, well, there you go.
I have to say, Eve Lipchick is my solution-focused like superhero.
Yep.
She talked about neuroscience in the 90s, which is like unheard of, and wrote an article about connecting neuroscience to solution-focused brief therapy. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's really great. And she is like the single most generous, kind person ever. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
I will send her an email back to say they said, why are you watching? Go away. She's watching live, so she knows what's going on. Kid,
still going strong at 90. Love her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Kid, sorry, we kind of lost you for a bit. Oh, she's frozen
I think we've
again.
still lost her. Oh. Steve, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. If I could anticipate Kidge's question, and I made her wrong. Are you back? Are you back?
No. Oh, hang on.
Elliott's Betsy. Oh,
yeah.
Kid.
I'm back. Can you?
Kid.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening on my end. Shall I go on with the brilliant player? I'll try.
You were saying nice
Okay,
things.
so I'm just kind of given. I mean that. So kind of Elliott set up the SFU in 2016, and I'm wondering how and when, at what point did you know, Adam, that you wanted to become a kind of a major part of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. This is also one of the things.
Sorry, did it break up?
I think you got it. I think you said, when did I know I wanted to be kind of a major part of the SFU? This is one of the things I think that highlights the difference between me and Elliott as well. Elliott is the most spontaneous, least planned person ever. He is like a super risk taker. And I came today in my white button-up shirt. And I think my clothes and his clothes exemplify our entire personalities.
Joe, it's us.
Yeah. T-shirt.
I'm spontaneous.
And so I'm a totally planned person, and I worked for 11 years as a university professor. So I was in academia for 11 years. And Elliott, we tried a few things, right? Tried several different things before the SFU, and they all worked more or less. But the SFU just took off. So I've always been a part of the SFU. I'm very much a behind the scenes person. Elliott to this day loathes the fact that I hate social media and that you probably never see me post anything because I just hate it. So he's constantly trying to push me and to make me be in front of people. And I keep saying, you're out of your mind. I just want to do some research in the background. So I always wanted to be a part of the SFU. I always was a part of the SFU. I was always a behind the scenes person. Elliott, in the last couple of years, he started colluding with my 13-year-old son. His name is Toby. That they were going to come to my university office, and they used to just call it the arm bar. They said, we're going to come down. We're going to just bring empty boxes. We're going to start unplugging things like crazy and just go across your shelves with our arms and throw everything into a box. And thank you, Aisha. I had that I was like, don't touch any of my things. Don't unplug anything. I have a whiteboard on my wall that I live my life by. And they were like, we're erasing the whiteboard. And I said, if you erase the whiteboard, I don't care if you're connected to me by blood or not, you're both dead.
Hold on, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in and tell you something about Adam. In 11 years, we've never had a single argument, ever. We haven't even had a mild disagreement. In 11 years, it's been perfectly smooth. But he has punched me hard out of anger once. And
Which he earned.
The reason he punched me, just to tell you guys how crazy Adam Froerer is, the reason he punched me is because I went into his office and I erased something on his whiteboard that he already had crossed off that had something to do with me anyway. I erased it. And before I knew it, he's punching me in my back. And I turn and look at him, and he's got like rage in his face. So when he says he would kill me and Toby, he is not joking.
So they, for 2 years, kept joking around about this arm bar. And then slowly it became apparent to me that I was going to make this move. I quit my university job and I joined the SFU full time. But preemptively, he was then colluding with my wife that she was going to she makes wonderful bread. So she was going to make bread and bring it to all my colleagues to distract them. Then Toby and Elliott were going to go down the hall and armbar my office.
This is a proper operation.
It is.
God, yeah.
And he ruled it. Let me, Adam,
I'm a planner. So months before I started, I knew that I was going to quit my job. I had 2 empty cardboard boxes. Every day I would take them to work. I would load my stuff up carefully. I would bring it home, empty the boxes, and take the boxes back empty. So by the time my wife started saying to me, well, I really want to be there. And I just kept bringing stuff home. And finally, there was so much stuff at my house that the arm bar was impossible.
Yeah, he's a jerk for that. I had the satisfaction of ruining it. One day, Adam's wife texted me and she said, you got to get to Atlanta now if you're going to do the arm bar because he keeps coming home with 2 boxes worth of stuff. I don't think it's going to work. And our plan did not work.
Let the lesson go out to the masses. If you plan, things go the way you want.
Well, then, Adam, I still have to get you. I'm going to get you somehow.
I love that. So can we have last questions from Steve, Joe, and Kidge?
I was just going to ask, can you hear us, Kidge? Oh, Kidge has gone again.
We'll let Steve jump in and then you, Joe.
Okay. So Adam the planner and Elliott the improviser. What's your best hopes for your work together in the future?
Nice.
And
then we can scale it, Steve. Adam would love that.
Horizontal or vertical?
I think my best hopes for our work for the future is, number one, that we continue to work together. Like I hope that 50 years from now, I'm still, standing next to this guy doing what we do. And I hope that our work goes beyond just like the solution focused community or even the psychotherapy community. I think I would like to leave a bigger impact on this world than just talking to psychotherapists.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of those things. I think the other thing that I would add is my best hope is more of what I said before, but that we get more and more clarity. I hope at some point, if anyone asks, why do you do this and how do you do this and why does it work and how does it work, that we know the answers. I think we know a lot of answers now, but I hope other people get to know the answers as well. And I think the other thing that I hope for is that, and this is something that Elliott and I talk about overtly by ourselves, but I hope other people see this dynamic. It's a dynamic that, for all intents and purposes, that shouldn't have happened. People in this community and people outside of this community have come to me and said, you need to be careful who you associate with, because people are starting to wonder, referring to Elliott. And I had to say to them, I'm very aware of whom I'm associating with, and I'm okay with it. And I hope that other people see this dynamic and say, it never should have happened. It was unlikely that it did happen, but now that it has happened, I hope other people find somebody who is as different as we have found and find a way to get along with them as well as we have found to get along with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
And and what's beautiful about what we spoke about tonight, Adam, is that you said I'd asked loads of people to show me their work, and Elliott was, look at my work. Yeah. Elliott was open and said, look at my work. Let's see how we can, I don't know, improve, move forward. What you said about solution-focused practitioners taking some role of expertise. In other words, an expertise in how they deal with clients, rather than just saying, well, the client's the expert and we just are totally led by them. Whereas there is some expertise in the way that we work with clients. And sometimes as a practitioner, a lowly practitioner, nowhere near the level of you guys, I do have doubts. But I never doubt that I want the best for my client. And I guess I suppose that's the thing. If you want the best for your client, you do whatever it takes or whatever's in your ability. Mm-hmm. So it's been lovely talking to you both. It really has. So if I sign up to SFU, guys, what can I expect? What's the point? What's the point with signing up to this stuff? I sign up to a load of shit, bro.
just so everybody knows, we are signed up.
Yeah,
we are
signed up.
We are SFU members.
Yes,
but generally speaking,
I think, I can answer that in a practical way, and I can answer that in a humanistic way. Like, what you get is like really top-notch training and a large level of top-notch training. But more than that, I think what you get is a community of people that is safe. And when I say that, I mean, like, what Adam and I stand for and what Adam and I represent is you can actually take what makes us different, and that can become our strengths. And I was very surprised to find bigotry and racism and bias in the solution-focused field. And it makes it unsafe, because I don't know that the solution-focused world, I think the solution-focused world, just like the rest of the world, is what makes us different, makes us afraid. And when we're afraid, we stop seeing each other for who we actually are. So I think what we represent is manifested in the SFU community, because it's a community of helping professionals from all around the world interested in this approach. And it's a safe place to be yourself and find that connection that inspires you. So I think that's a very long way to say, what should I expect? Inspiration.
Yeah. What about you, Adam? What do you hope people will get from the SFU?
I don't think I could say it any better than Elliott said it. I think I do hope that people get inspiration, and I do hope I hope that they get community. I think one of the things that we're really trying to do now is involve the SFU members into presenting the content. Kij did a presentation just last week for the SFU, and I think we all have so much to learn. And like I said, one of the things that really drives me is like, how does this work? Why does this work? And I think the SFU is a place where that is being answered as much as we possibly can answer it. So I hope the SFU is a place where we're always on the cutting edge.
You need to put a hazard sign on there, though.
Why is that?
Because it's addictive. I remember when I first signed up and it was 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I must learn more about this diamond. It was the first time I actually knew about this diamond. And I was like, oh, but you know, I'm on the fourth one. If I just watched the fifth one, that's another tick. And it was like I was back at uni, like real uni. I'm going, oh, but if I do this and I do that. And then I thought, geez, I've really got to slow down.
Well, you don't really, I mean, we'll always put more there, so just keep going.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. No life person. Yeah. No, it is for anyone that's actually, I have put the link in the chat, but if anyone is actually thinking about, and I would also say, even if you're not a solution focused person, it's such a fantastic platform to sign up to. And it's overwhelmingly brilliant, and there are so many fantastic people on there. You can't help but want more.
I'd second that. It's brilliant. Yeah. Well done, you guys.
Yeah. What? Just very quickly, Elliott, what inspired you to come up with the whole concept of SFU? I know you've discussed that in another chat, but
love. I think like most of what I do comes like deeply in my heart, and I wanted to make sure, like, I adore Kij. I think Kij is amazing. Kij was one of the first people I met in the Solution Focused community when I went to Bath, and I think we all need a solution focused home to display our skills and our interests. And I've never used solution-focused brief therapy in like a medical setting, but Kij has. And like, that's the thing that like drives Kij's engine. And I think we all need a solution-focused home. And where the idea came from, actually, I was having dinner with a guy named Peter DeYoung, who everybody should know his name because he wrote so many prominent books. And but he's been a little bit quiet here recently. And I was teaching in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where Peter was from, and I was having such a hard time in our field that I had decided that I'm no longer going to solution-focused conferences because they were treating me as a person so badly and disrespectfully as a result of my differences. And I was in Grand Rapids having dinner with Peter, and he was, in essence, telling me how disappointed he was with the way things had gone. And he was saying to me, your work needs a home. And I was saying to him, yeah, I think that's true. But the current home, there is no home for me in the solution-focused field. And I didn't think I was alone. So my goal was to build a place that we could all call our solution-focused home, and people could show their talent, like Kij in her area of talking about using the solution-focused approach in a medical context. And that really what spawned it. And the fact that it's taken off to the degree that it has, it's just blown me away. But that's what started it, is I just thought, I don't want anybody to ever feel solution-focused homeless again. It wasn't wonderful when I felt it, and I didn't want anybody else to feel it. And there are people whom I think Pout is ridiculous. Like what Pout does in teams and organizations, I mean, it is unbelievable. And what Kij does, if you are a member, go watch the lecture she did if you haven't seen it already. What Adam does in terms of research is fantastic. I mean, I could go on and on there's a woman named Alicia who does work with single session. I mean, it's just like, and then there are these people with these brand new ideas. Like there's this guy named Cecil who has this ridiculous idea. Adam and I just talked about it yesterday. And I just thought there needs to be a place where people can go with their ideas and feel good about it. And I didn't think that existed 4 or 5 years ago. And now I'm very proud that it does exist. And it's now become such a large platform for people to participate in.
Definitely. And I think, Steve, your contribution would be absolutely fantastic as well.
Yes.
I thought I was just about retired, but I'm inspired.
Oh, come on. Don't get me started. I don't believe in retirement.
Well, yeah, but you're not our age yet.
What do you mean? Elliott, you're only 3 years older than I am.
Yeah, I know, but I somehow have like dog ears.
I'm like your little sister.
Yeah.
You're the annoying little pest in the background.
My 44 years are different than everybody else's 44 years. I got some city miles on me.
No, you guys are all wonderful, and Steve, honestly, you should connect with Adam and Elliott. I mean, your book is absolutely fantastic, and we've got Kidge's books, we've got your books. We have our own SF library here at the office, and it is brilliant, and we are overwhelmed that we have met, not in person with most of you, but at least on this platform and other platforms that we have been very lucky to be part of and invited to. And on that note, we have come to the end. So any last words from any one of you?
No, just big hugs, and I can't wait. Steve, it's been too long, man. I remember being in Froerer at the conference, and I can't wait to see all of you again. As soon as it may not kill me or other people, I'm going to get on a plane and cross the ocean and have fish and chips.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Everybody together.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for facilitating this. It's nice to walk down memory lane a bit. Sometimes I think, again, as solution-focused brief therapists, sometimes we get critiqued for not paying attention to the past. And I think so much of where we are today, obviously, is because of where we were. And it's nice to be able to visit that a bit.
And it's so interesting. A couple of weeks ago, Adam and I took a car trip, and we would go to we went to prominent places in the civil rights movement. And for example, we went to a house, just a regular house where Medgar Evers was assassinated. He's a prominent guy in Jackson, Mississippi. And Adam and I were saying, at one point, this was just his house. This is where he came to eat his meals, and this is where he came to. We walked to the backyard, and there were clotheslines, and this is where he hung his clothes. And it was just he was just living life. And then this one instant happened, and now it's turned this house into a museum, and people drive hundreds of miles to come to this museum. And I was thinking, Adam, if I had known how much would have come from that walk we took in Malmo, I would have recorded more of it. There's pants. I know we're over time, but I'm going to say this anyway. We were walking down. I almost murdered a child on this walk.
Oh, now I need to know.
We were walking down the street. And it's so bad because here I am with this guy who would go on to become my very best friend, and I get along with his children. And the first thing he almost saw me do was murder a child.
I legitimately had to get in between him and this small child to be like, you're going to need to walk away.
But here's what happened.
For one day.
So that day it had rained, and we're walking down the sidewalk, and it's a very narrow sidewalk, and there's a mom, and I don't know, Adam, how old's that kid? Probably 5, I would say.
Little.
The child was very little.
Yep. Well, that's exactly what everyone should be doing.
And the 5-year-old is pulling what we call a wheelbarrow. I think you guys call it a wagon. But he's pulling this little toy wagon. And it's bright red, like the color of this shirt. It is bright red. Now, what you should know about me is I am a big fan of clothes and shoes. And I spend a lot of money on my clothes and shoes. And here comes this kid with this bright red wagon. And so the sidewalk's really narrow. Now, I don't want to step into the street because it's wet and I might get my shoes wet and dirty. So I try to stay on the sidewalk, and this kid's wagon grazes against my leg, which I'm totally okay with. It's totally fine. I don't mind my leg being grazed with my brand new jeans. That's all right. But as the kid passes, I look down at my leg, and the wheelbarrow, the wagon had been painted, so it's wet paint. Wet paint on my very expensive jeans that I bought just for this conference. So I turn and I look at this little kid, and I was like, I'm going to kill him. And Adam literally stands between. He's like, Elliott, just keep walking. I was like, he needs to know that he is ruined.
He started talking really loud, and I was like, I really hope those Swedish people don't know a word of English.
Oh, wow.
I had known like how many times we have talked, and all the things that would have grown from this walk, I would have kept those pants. It might end up in a museum one day.
So Adam, despite that happening, what made this friendship blossom? I mean,
it's a good question. I look back now and I'm like, I don't know how this happened. Except for he's brilliant, right? So you really just have to listen to every single thing that comes out of his mouth. So I think I valued his brain more than I did his actions.
yeah, Elliott's fantastic. Just don't diss or destroy the jeans, the trackies, or the trainers. Stay away from the trainers. People, anyone listening, 2 meter distance at all times, unless he approaches you.
Respect.
And if he does, with caution.
I also have to say one other thing that does make us get along really well is that Elliott does stuff like that that's really funny, and I just laugh. Like I laugh from the minute we get together to the minute that we separate, and my stomach hurts because I laugh so much. And to this day, I still make fun of him because it was raining in Sweden, and we had to cross the street. And he's literally walking across the street on his tiptoes. What are you doing? You are a grown man on your tiptoes crossing the street. And he's like, my shoes can't get wet.
No.
The point of shoes is to get wet.
Adam, what was the thing that happened like last week that like you and Becca will not stop laughing about it? What was that?
There's something every day. Every day.
We have young people now, Elliott, that will walk without trying to bend their toes, so that the trainers don't get a crease.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So they're walking along like Frankenstein.
Elliott, you should pass this tip on to all those teenagers. Elliott gets these inserts that go into your shoes. They're called force fields.
Yep.
Right.
Look at him knowing it.
And they get the creases that keep your shoes from creasing.
That's right.
Anytime you're not wearing them, you put a force field in. I know we've had to go to many a store to buy force fields.
Adam has been to so many stores with me. It's payback, Adam, for you dragging me in all this stupid research.
I think one of us got the better end of the deal.
Now what? You have been to shoe stores in like every country on the planet because of me. That's got to be a good thing.
It doesn't.
And the really funny thing is teenagers, at least around here, love a very particular shoe, and it's called Air Force Ones. They're very popular Nike shoes. So I said to Adam, the next time we present, we need to be wearing the same shoes. Like we got to have like a uniform, man, because we're a team. So we went to the store and we bought Air Force Ones. Adam's daughter has freaked out that she has a dad that owns the same shoes that her friends at school wear. And I take so much pleasure in the fact that it's like my favorite thing.
Yeah. My dad is with it. He's got Air Force One.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually what came out of her mouth.
Because I think she doesn't think her dad is with it, but he's got these with it shoes, and he's got a with it pen.
She loves me dearly.
Of course she does.
Yeah, of course.
When you're not wearing Air Force Ones. Maybe.
And the last thing I want to say, and I want the whole world to help me with this, I'm trying to convince Adam to get a tattoo. And he won't do it. He won't do it.
It's never going to happen. You might as well give it up.
Adam, but Jesus might tell you to do it.
And if Jesus would tell you to do it, which
He would
tattoo
do
would
it.
he ask you to
He would
get?
do it. I think anything short of that he would not do. But I do believe if Jesus came and gave you a sign that said, get a tattoo per my commandment, he would do it. So Jesus, if you're listening, tell Adam.
I don't think it works that way. I think you're supposed to listen.
Adam,
not supposed to listen.
Adam, if you will wait, when you wake up tomorrow, overnight, this miracle would have happened. And the first thing you notice is a tattoo. What might this tattoo look like?
If he woke up tomorrow and there was a tattoo, the first thing he would do is he'd go, Elliott, and he would try to
I'd be like, you did this.
Oh, I love right.
We have to go. They've been trying to wrap it up.
Yeah. Only because my son is covered, not covered, but and the one thing that puts me off is the pain. Is it painful? Because it looks really painful. And secondly, what would I have? And if I had anything, it would be a sloth, because I just love that animal. So I think if it means something, then I may consider it, but I'm still a bit of a chicken over the pain. So
I'll go.
Why couldn't Adam get a tattoo to raise money for family-based solutions? Ooh.
Oh.
So this is what I said. There's nothing in the world that would make me get a tattoo, and one of the major reasons is because I don't like anything for long enough. I need constant change. This whole thing is about an evolution. So if I got it today, I wouldn't like it tomorrow.
Just get like, so Adam's wife's name is Becca.
I love that you're aiming right here. If I'm getting one, I'm not getting it anywhere visible.
Get Becca's name right here on your neck.
But that's why it's addictive, Adam, because you get one tattoo and you think, oh, my feelings have changed, my allegiances, whatever. So you get another tattoo to represent that. So it shows a progression of your life.
Hold on, does Elliott have a tattoo?
Elliott has like 7 tattoos.
Oh.
Nice.
Hitch, do you have a tattoo?
Not yet.
No.
Steve's covered.
No
Oh.
tattoo.
All right, Adam, I got to start working on Kidge and Steve now.
And
I think you should all get a tattoo and raise money for our charity.
I'll tell you what. The next time I'm in England, I will.
Can I just donate to your charity instead?
I'll tell you what. The next time I'm in England, I will get it.
I'm with Joe. It looks painful.
Elliott, I'll get a tattoo with you.
I'll get it live, and we can stream it, and we can raise money for charity.
Yeah, let's do
I'll
that.
be there at the park.
Oh, Adam, you're not involved in this. You're just going to start researching into our pain threshold or something.
That's a good idea. We'll do
on
it.
a scale of 1 to 10.
No, we're gonna do better research than that.
You know what, Aisha, we should do? We should have everybody like vote on the tattoo Elliott gets.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do that with you.
Fantastic.
I just say I will undermine this process, and I'm going to tell you one horrible story. When my brother was in high school, he and I were in high school together, and they were doing this contest to see who could raise the most money, and whoever raised the most money, they had to kiss a pig in front of the entire school.
Wow.
So I went on a campaign to get my older brother to win.
Oh, you're so
And
good.
He pulled so far ahead. He had to put in $300 of his own money so that he would lose. So I'll just go in for a campaign, and we'll get Elliott the ugliest tattoo we can think of.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Send your designs to me, and then the campaign will begin.
I'll do it. I'm not a fuddy-duddy like you who doesn't do anything fun.
I do
Can
fun
you imagine
under my
spending a day
campaign.
with these two?
Oh my God, it must be hilarious.
It would just be Adam, Elliott,
Yeah.
Adam, Elliott, Adam, Elliott, Adam, Elliott, Adam, Elliott, Adam.
He's just so stuffy. He's just so stuffy. Adam needs me to loosen him up.
Wait till you get that ugly tattoo, and you're not going to be saying stuffy anymore.
Oh,
I need Steve and Kidge to intervene on this one.
Well, Elliott, you were right. You didn't need any questions. You've both been riffing, and it's been great to hear. Thank you.
yeah.
On that note,
Absolutely.
we've got to wait for the tattoos to come. So next up on Tuesday, we've got FBS team. So you can ask us any question you like, anything at all. Why is Joe grey? When did he start going grey? How old I am? Because I'm only going to lie to you. I'm going to say I'm 21. Anything you want to ask us. It's just an opportunity for service users, for the community, for SF people to just get to know us a little bit better. And then the following week, we have a chat with Frederique Banning. Anything you want to ask. She will. Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, was that you? Yeah. So Frederique will be joining us in a couple of weeks with our lovely co-host. So thank you to our fantastic co-hosts, Steve Smith and Kidge Burns. Fantastic guys. And Adam and Elliott, Adam Froerer and Elliott Connie. Thank you very much again for joining us. What a fantastic 1 hour and 15 minutes it's been.
Loads of fun.
I have laughed and laughed. So thank you so much. And Elliott, you do realize I'm not going to forget that tattoo thing.
I'm going to get it. I'm not joking. And Adam's not going to have anything to do with it. I'm going to get something cool, not something ugly.
Yeah. But do it live. Raise money for us. For crying out loud, raise money for us. Do something.
I will get it.
There you go.
Tattoo live.
Love you. So everyone else, we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye. Take care, guys. Thank you.